There comes a moment in your life when you look in the mirror and realize you are no longer who you used to be, but you are also not yet who you're meant to become. That moment is power. That moment is truth. That moment is the call to rise. Because life is not about waiting for someone else to rebuild you. It's about grabbing your own tools, your own fire, and saying, it's time. It's time to rebuild myself. You see, pain, failure, heartbreak, disappointment, they're not the end. They are the raw materials. They are the bricks and stones you've been given. What matters is whether you pick them up and start building something greater. Too many people let their wounds define them, let their mistakes cage them, let their failures bury them. But what if those failures were not chains but chisels? What if they were carving you in the person you were always meant to be? You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not your past. You are a masterpiece under construction, and construction is messy, it's loud, it's chaotic, it's uncomfortable. But that's where transformation happens. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. The tallest buildings require the deepest foundations, and your next level of life requires you to tear down the old walls of limitation and rebuild with courage, vision, and relentless commitment. You don't need permission to start over. You don't need the world's approval to rise again. What you need is a decision that enough is enough, a decision that yesterday does not control tomorrow, a decision that you will not settle for being a shadow of yourself when you were created to shine. Rebuilding is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the truth of who you really are. It's about taking your broken pieces and realizing they are not broken at all. They are puzzle pieces of your destiny. It's about standing in your power and saying, I am not done yet. My story is still being written. My best chapter has not even begun. So use your pain as fuel. Use your failures as lessons. Use your scars as proof that you survived and that nothing can keep you down unless you let it. This is your time. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things get easier. Right now. It's time to rebuild yourself from the inside out, stronger, bolder, unstoppable. Every single human being has a moment in life where the old version of themselves just doesn't work anymore. The identity that used to fit, the habits that used to feel comfortable, the story that you've been telling yourself, it just doesn't match the vision inside of you anymore. And that's not a crisis, that's an invitation. That's your soul telling you it's time to rebuild yourself, not patch up the old cracks, not polish the broken glass, but to strip it down and build something unstoppable. Think about it. When a building is damaged beyond repair, they don't waste years repainting the walls or taping over the broken beams. They bring it down piece by piece and lay a new foundation that can handle storms, wait, time, and change. And in the same way, you've got to be willing to tear down the excuses, demolish the limiting beliefs, rip out the rotten boards of self-doubt and say, I'm building again, and this time it will be unshakable. Rebuilding yourself requires courage because the demolition process isn't pretty. It means admitting that some of the things you've held on to, whether they're relationships, habits, or beliefs, are no longer serving you. It means looking at the parts of yourself you've been hiding from and facing them head on. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but isn't it more uncomfortable to live the rest of your life trapped in the ruins of your past? Here's the truth, your identity is not fixed. You are not a statue. You are not carved out of stone, destined to remain the same forever. You are a living, breathing, evolving force. And the moment you decide that change is not only possible but necessary, you set in motion a transformation that no setback, no failure, and no fear can stop. Because life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to build, and what you're willing to rebuild when it all comes crashing down. Some of you have been waiting for the perfect conditions to rebuild, waiting until you feel ready, waiting until the pain is gone, waiting until someone gives you permission. Let me tell you something, you'll be waiting forever. The perfect time doesn't exist. The pain won't just vanish, and nobody is going to come and hand you a golden ticket to the life you're dreaming of. You create the time, you use the pain, you give yourself permission. And let me remind you, the pain you've been carrying is not there to destroy you. It's there to shape you. It's there to push you to become more than you thought possible. Every heartbreak, every failure, every betrayal, it's like pressure on coal, forming the diamond inside you. But only if you're willing to rebuild. Only if you're willing to say, I will not live in the rubble. I will not camp in my pain. I will not decorate my prison. I will build again. Rebuilding is not just about changing your external life. It's about reconstructing your inner world first. It's about rebuilding the way you think, the way you speak to yourself, the way you carry yourself, because your life will never rise higher than your standards. If your standards are low, your life will stay low. If your standards rise, if you demand more of yourself, if you raise the bar, your world has no choice but to rise with you. But you can't rebuild yourself with old tools. You can't create a new version of you with the same mindset that broke you. You need new strategies, new beliefs, new rituals. You need to rewire your brain to stop asking, why me? And start asking, What can I build with this? What can I create with this? Who can I become because of this? That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who rise. One sees destruction as the end. The other sees destruction as the beginning. So let me ask you right now, what needs to be demolished in your life? What patterns have been holding you hostage? What story have you been telling yourself that no longer serves the future you want? Maybe you've been telling yourself you're not good enough, that you'll always struggle, that you'll never get past this pain. That story is the foundation that needs to be torn apart, because the truth is you are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. The truth is every single cell in your body was designed to adapt, to grow, to evolve. You are built for rebuilding. Don't underestimate the power of small shifts. You don't rebuild a skyscraper in a day. You start with one beam, one brick, one step at a time. The same goes for your life. Start by rebuilding the way you wake up in the morning. Start by rebuilding your habits. Replace doubt with gratitude. Replace procrastination with action. Replace fear with courage. Over time, these small choices stack up into an unshakable new structure. And here's the beauty: when you rebuild yourself, you're not just creating a stronger version of you, you're inspiring everyone around you. Your children, your friends, your family, your community, they see you rise from the rubble and it sparks something in them. You become living proof that it's possible. And there is nothing more powerful than a human being who chooses to rise again, who chooses to create rather than collapse, who chooses to build rather than break. Don't let the scars scare you. Scars are not signs of weakness. They are symbols of survival. They show that you were tested, you were challenged, and you came out stronger. They are reminders that nothing could destroy you. When you rebuild, you don't erase your scars. You wear them as armor. You carry them as proof that you've been through hell and you're still standing. That's strength. That's resilience. That's power. I want you to imagine right now that the version of you standing here today is not the final draft. You are just the first draft of your greater self. The editor is life, and life will cross things out, rearrange sentences, tear pages apart. But the masterpiece is still inside you. Don't quit the book halfway through. Don't stop at the chapter of pain. Rebuild yourself into the author of your destiny, and stop waiting for someone to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. You're the builder, the architect, the designer of your life. You hold the hammer, the nails, the blueprint. And the blueprint is written in your vision, in your desires, and the voice deep inside you saying, I was meant for more. Listen to that voice. That's not fantasy. That's truth. That's your future calling you forward. Every storm you've gone through, every setback you've faced, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The storm was clearing the ground so you could build stronger. The setback was carving out space for your breakthrough. But only if you choose to rise, only if you choose to rebuild. You are not too old. You are not too young. You are not too broken. You are not too late. The only thing that makes it impossible is the belief that it's impossible. And the moment you decide that rebuilding is not optional but essential, you flip the switch. You ignite the power inside you that has been waiting all along. It's time to rebuild your confidence, rebuild your health, rebuild your relationships, rebuild your dreams. It's time to stop living in the ruins of yesterday and step into the construction site of tomorrow. And yes, it will take sweat. It will take discipline. It will take sacrifice. But the life you're building is worth every ounce of effort, because on the other side of the rebuild is freedom. On the other side is strength. On the other side is a life that you can stand in with pride, knowing that you didn't settle, you didn't give up, you didn't live in the rubble. You chose to rise. You chose to build again. And once you've rebuilt yourself, once you've stood tall again, nothing, no storm, no failure, no critic will ever shake you the same way again, because you'll know the truth you can always rebuild. When life knocks you down, it's easy to believe the lie that this is where your story ends. It's easy to buy into the narrative that you're finished, that what was lost can never be recovered, that the damage is permanent. But that's the biggest illusion of all. The truth is, every time something in your life falls apart, you are standing at the edge of possibility. That edge is terrifying, but it's also exhilarating, because it means you're standing at the doorway of a rebirth. And the choice you make in that moment will define everything that comes after. Will you live in the ruins, or will you rebuild yourself into someone unrecognizable, unstoppable, undeniable? Rebuilding yourself doesn't start with your hands, it starts with your mind. Because if the mind is still running on the old operating system, doubt, fear, self-pity, then no matter what you try to construct, it will crumble again. That's why the first step is to reprogram the way you think. The language you use with yourself has to change. Stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I must. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this building inside me? Stop focusing on the rubble and start focusing on the foundation you're laying. The greatest structures in the world began in the imagination before they ever touched the ground. So rebuild your imagination first, because if you can see it, you can create it. But rebuilding doesn't mean pretending. It doesn't mean plastering a smile on your face and denying the pain you've been through. No, you have to confront it. You have to stand in the wreckage, look at it for what it is, and then decide this will not be the end of me. This will be the making of me. Every broken dream, every shattered plan, every scar on your soul is raw material. And raw material can either sit there collecting dust or it can be turned into something extraordinary. That's your power. Think of it this way: the tallest skyscrapers require the deepest foundations. The higher you want to rise, the deeper you have to dig. And sometimes life forces you down into those depths through failure, heartbreak, rejection, loss. You feel buried, crushed, suffocated. But what if you're not buried at all? What if you're planted? What if the very thing that feels like the end is actually the beginning of your growth? The seed doesn't fight the soil. It pushes through. It rebuilds itself into something entirely new, something alive, something powerful. That's you. When you commit to rebuilding yourself, you have to let go of the old blueprint. Too many people try to build a new life with an outdated map. They want the new results, but they're clinging to old habits, old stories, old limitations. That doesn't work. If the old version of you was enough, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be hungry for change. So stop dragging yesterday's baggage into tomorrow's construction site. Release it. Rip it up, burn it if you have to, because your new life requires a new design and you are the architect. And don't think rebuilding is a straight, clean process. It's messy, it's chaotic, it will test you. You'll feel like you're making progress one day and falling backward the next. But that's the nature of growth. Think about the gym. You don't build muscle without tearing the fibers first. The breakdown is part of the buildup. The soreness is a signal that you're expanding. Life works the same way. The pain you feel when you're rebuilding isn't punishment, it's progress. Every tear you shed, every fear you face, every time you get back up is proof that you're laying brick after brick in the new you. But here's the secret: you don't need to rebuild alone. Yes, the decision is yours. Yes, the work is yours. But you can surround yourself with people who lift you higher, who hand you tools instead of criticism, who believe in the version of you that you haven't even met yet. Because when you're rebuilding, environment is everything. If you stay around the same voices that broke you, you'll never rise. But if you put yourself in rooms filled with vision, energy, possibility, you will absorb it, you will mirror it, and you will accelerate your rebuild. Ask yourself, who am I spending time with? Are they pouring gasoline on my fire, or are they pouring water on it? If you want to rebuild, you cannot afford to stay in toxic environments. You cannot afford to keep replaying the same patterns. You need to plant yourself where you can grow, where your potential is demanded, not diminished. And let me remind you, rebuilding is not about becoming someone else. It's about stripping away what is false, what is weak, what is temporary, and revealing the real strength inside you. You are not creating a fake version of yourself. You are uncovering the version that has always been there, hidden under layers of fear, doubt, and conformity. When you rebuild, you align with truth, and truth is power. You're going to face resistance, not just from the world, but from within. That inner voice will try to tell you, this is too hard. You're not ready. You've failed before, so why try again? That voice is the echo of your old life, the ghost of your past identity, but you are not obligated to listen. You can override it. You can choose a stronger voice. And the moment you say, I'm rebuilding no matter what, that old voice begins to lose power. It shrinks, it withers, because courage grows when you feed it, and fear dies when you starve it. Think about history. Every great invention, every revolution, every breakthrough happened because someone chose to rebuild when the world told them to give up. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before the light bulb. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. They were standing in the rubble of rejection, but instead of accepting defeat, they rebuilt themselves stronger, smarter, bolder. And today their names are synonymous with possibility. So what about you? What's the dream inside you that's been buried under the rubble of fear? What's the vision you've been hiding because you've been too scared to start again? This is your wake-up call. This is your moment. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect. Start laying the bricks. Start showing up for yourself. Start taking the steps, however small, because the act of rebuilding is itself the victory. And don't underestimate the ripple effect of your rebuild. When you rise, you give others permission to rise. When you rebuild, you prove it's possible. Your children will see it. Your friends will feel it. Your community will be inspired by it. And one day, someone will look at you and say, because you rebuilt yourself, I believed I could too. That's legacy. That's impact. That's why this matters. So take your broken pieces and rearrange them into art. Take your pain and channel it into purpose. Take your failure and use it as fuel. Don't waste your suffering. Don't bury your story. Use it. Build with it. Let it be the fire that forges the unshakable version of you that the world is waiting for. Because you are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your failures. You are the builder. You are the creator. You are the force of life itself, and life is begging you to rise, to stand tall, to rebuild. The greatest tragedy is not that people fall. It's that they never rise again. It's not that they fail, but that they settle in the rubble of that failure, convincing themselves that the brokenness defines them forever. But you are not the ruins. You are the builder of what comes next. You are the architect of what rises from the ashes. And the truth is, every setback, every heartbreak, every collapse is a sacred opportunity. It's a chance to strip away everything that no longer serves you and to construct a version of yourself that is wiser, stronger, and far more powerful than the one who fell. You've got to stop negotiating with your old story. Too many people keep bargaining with their pain. I'll change later. I'll start tomorrow. I'll rebuild when it's easier. But waiting is the thief of your destiny. The longer you wait, the deeper the rubble settles, the heavier the debris becomes. You don't rebuild when it's convenient. You rebuild when it's necessary. And if you're breathing, if you're still here, it's necessary right now. Look at your life as it stands. What have you been tolerating that you know is tearing you down? What patterns have you allowed to eat away at your potential? What excuses have you repeated so many times they become your truth? These are the termites in your foundation. And until you call them out, until you rip them out, nothing new will last. Rebuilding requires honesty, brutal honesty. You've got to stop lying to yourself about what's working and what's not, because when you admit the truth, you give yourself the power to change it. Here's what most people don't realize: destruction and creation are partners. You cannot have one without the other. The destruction of who you were creates the space for who you're becoming. Think about nature. Forest fires burn through, but what comes after? Fertile soil, new growth, ecosystems stronger than before. The same principle applies to you. Your fire was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to clear the path for your rebirth. But make no mistake, rebuilding takes work. It takes grit. It takes the kind of relentless focus that doesn't bend to distraction or doubt. You have to become obsessed with your vision, obsessed with your growth, obsessed with refusing to accept anything less than the life you're capable of creating. Because half-built lives collapse. You can't rebuild halfway. You've got to go all in. And that means discipline. That means daily action. That means waking up when you don't feel like it and doing the work anyway. That means refusing to let your emotions dictate your decisions. Discipline is the scaffolding of your rebuild. It holds you up when everything else feels shaky. Without it, you'll crumble. With it, you'll rise. But don't confuse rebuilding with perfection. This isn't about creating some flawless, untouchable version of yourself. It's about creating a resilient version of yourself, one that can bend without breaking, one that can adapt, pivot, shift, and keep moving forward no matter what life throws at it. Perfection is brittle. Resilience is unbreakable. When you commit to rebuilding, you're going to face resistance. People around you might not understand. Some will criticize, some will laugh, some will even try to pull you back into the rubble because your rise makes them uncomfortable, but their opinion doesn't matter. You are not rebuilding for their approval. You are rebuilding for your destiny. And if they can't handle your growth, let them stay where they are. You got places to go. And remember this: momentum is everything. The hardest part of rebuilding is the beginning. It feels impossible to lift the first brick, to take the first step. But once you start, once you gain momentum, the process fuels itself. Action creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence creates more action. It's a cycle. The key is to start. Don't overthink. Don't wait for certainty. Just pick up the first brick and place it. Then another and another. Soon you'll look up and realize the structure is taking shape. Now let's talk about vision, because you cannot rebuild blindly. You need a blueprint. You need to know what you're creating, or else you'll end up building something that doesn't align with your true self. Vision is the compass. It's the guiding star that pulls you through the hard days. Without it, you'll quit. With it, you'll endure. So ask yourself, what does the rebuilt version of me look like? How does he or she think? How do they walk, talk, act, show up in the world? Paint that picture so vividly that you can feel it in your bones, and then let that vision pull you forward. But don't just visualize, embody it. Live it now, even if it feels unnatural at first, because your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination when you commit fully. The more you step into that identity, the faster your reality begins to match it. Rebuilding starts internally before it ever shows externally. And don't forget gratitude. Gratitude is the mortar that holds your rebuild together. Without it, you'll constantly feel like you're not enough, like what you're building isn't good enough. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you of how far you've come, even as you're building toward more. It turns the pain of the past into fuel for the future. So every day, find something to be grateful for, not just the wins, but the struggles too, because they're shaping you. Here's the thing: rebuilding yourself is not a one-time project. It's a lifelong process. You will rebuild again and again at different stages of your life. And each time you'll rise stronger, wiser, more aligned. That's not weakness. That's evolution. That's growth. The caterpillar doesn't transform into the butterfly once and then stop. Every stage of your life is preparing you for the next. Don't resist it. Embrace it. You were not created to settle. You were not created to live in survival mode, patching cracks in a crumbling wall. You were created to expand, to build, to create, to rebuild. You are a force of nature, and nature never stops growing. The question is not whether you can rebuild, it's whether you will choose to. And I promise you this, on the other side of the pain, on the other side of the work, on the other side of the relentless effort, there is a version of you waiting that will blow your mind. A version of you that looks back at today's struggles and says, thank God I didn't quit. Thank God I chose to rebuild. That's why you're here. That's why you've gone through everything you've gone through, not to be destroyed, but to be reborn, not to be broken, but to be built. And the building begins now. And when it's all said and done, when the dust settles and the noise fades, you will look back at the ruins of your past not with shame, but with gratitude. Because those ruins were the soil where your greatness took root. You will realize that you were never broken. You were being rebuilt into something unshakable. The storms couldn't stop you. The critics couldn't break you. The pain couldn't define you. You chose to rise. You chose to fight. You chose to rebuild. So let today be the day you draw the line. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more living in the rubble of yesterday. Stand tall, declare your power, and step boldly into the life you are building with your own two hands. Because the world doesn't need a half version of you. It needs the strongest, truest, most unstoppable version of you.